When we read in the Gospels the stories of how Jesus goes out to the poor and to the marginalized of society, we see God's great love. To the leper, to the paralytic, to the deaf, and to the mute. Truly he is God, truly he has been anointed to preach good news to the poor, to proclaim freedom for the prisoners and recovery of sight for the blind, to set the oppressed free, and to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor. The beautiful thing about Jesus performing miracles is not simply the miracle itself, that God is able to alter the physical world, but he doesn't withhold the performance of miracles. He doesn't ask for anything in return, yet he is gracious to give a gift like that freely. It's an unconditional love that God has for us, and it's this love which I'll be taking to explain why Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai is a Christian anime. But I won't be spoiling any major plot points, so you should be okay by the end of the video. Bunny Girl Senpai is a story about this high school kid, Sakuta, how he meets all of these different girls, all of them dealing with teenage issues, and Sakuta comes in to meet these girls where they're at, and he decides to help them out. And I'm going to argue that while Sakuta is imperfect, he is an image of Christ in the way that he imparts unconditional love towards the girls that he meets. Now, what makes this anime unique is that these girls aren't just dealing with high school drama. There's a supernatural force called puberty syndrome which makes these problems worse. The first girl Sakuta meets is the famous actress Mai Sakurajima, who also happens to attend his high school. Now, while she should be having an amazing high school life considering her early start as a young actress, it's because of her work that she actually couldn't make any friends. She misses the first term, comes back to school from an acting gig, and because all of the friend groups have already been established by second term, she never ends up making any friends and becomes a social outcast. It's as if she becomes invisible to the rest of her classmates, and this is where the puberty syndrome kicks in. Because she becomes socially invisible to her classmates, she slowly becomes actually invisible to everyone else, and she discovers this by going out to public places, and she notices more and more people don't even acknowledge her being there. The problem gets worse to the point that it's only Sakuta who can see her. We see Mai's problem escalate from episode 1 to episode 2, and Sakuta being absolutely determined to try and make the world see Mai again. He goes to great lengths to find a solution to Mai's invisibility. He goes to the effort of sacrificing sleep during exam period, and while it's not the same level of sacrifice that Jesus performs on the cross, it's here where we see Sakuta partially reflecting and imaging the same love that Christ has for us, which is that it is unconditional. It's not as if Mai is offering the guy anything. It's not as if he's getting any money or power or gaining anything of value. Yes, physical attraction is partially playing a role here where Sakuta is also trying to court Mai, and there's a reason why this anime is called Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai, and it is because Sakuta is a rascal, but you still see that unconditional love that he has for Mai. Now, does he succeed? Is the world now able to see Mai, or does she become invisible forever? You'll actually have to watch the anime now to find out, and you'll be met with a story of this greater love where Sakuta doesn't care what his classmates think of him, and he's willing to act out this love that he has, going beyond the base feelings of physical attraction that he's experiencing. Tomoe is the second girl Sakuta meets, and she faces not really a problem, and it's more juvenile than anything, but to a high school girl her age, this problem would definitely feel as if the world was ending around her. Tomoe's problem is that she has a friend who has a crush on this popular basketball player, so they all go during break regularly to the undercover court just to see this really cool guy. Now, the problem is, instead of this guy getting attracted to Tomoe's friend, he actually becomes attracted to Tomoe herself, and he tries to ask her out in a stairwell. Now, the consequences for Tomoe are absolutely insane. If she accepts the offer, her friend will hate her. If she rejects the offer, her friend will also hate her. And it's this insecurity and fear of being ostracized and being rejected by her friends, which culminates in her puberty syndrome being the ability to relive this day again and again until the situation changes to a point where Tomoe is happy to continue the timeline, and Sakuta unintentionally helps out Tomoe by driving the basketball player away from her. On the third instance of reliving this day, Sakuta becomes Tomoe's excuse as to why she can't go out with the basketball guy, because Sakuta decides to pretend being Tomoe's boyfriend. Now, Sakuta is kind of getting something out of this, like he gets to have a cute girlfriend for a few weeks, but he didn't have to do this for her. There's no great benefit he gains by pretending to be her boyfriend, and the reason he gives later on why he helps Tomoe out is because he recalls when his little sister was brutally bullied by her friends. He saw the same insecurities and desire to maintain friendship that his sister had in Tomoe. Now, this empathy that Sakuta has, while in some sense is selfish, because if he didn't have a sister who experienced the same thing, he wouldn't have helped this girl out. But Sakuta's ability to empathize, well, our ability to empathize, is something we get from being an image of God. God isn't just this being who stands off in the distance and isn't actively moving in his creation. He cares about the injustice which we find ourselves in, which is why Jesus spends a lot of his ministry going to those who have experienced such injustice. God is a God who empathizes because he himself experienced the greatest injustice as a sinless man, as a man who did no wrong, yet Jesus, yet God in human form, was crucified. Sakuta in this anime images Christ in the way that he imparts love upon Tomoe by doing this thing for her because he doesn't want to see that same bullying and social rejection that happened to his sister to happen again with Tomoe. While he actually has the power to change things and be present with this girl, Sakuta acts in the way that he can. I know so far I've focused on Sakuta himself and his conduct, but the other thing about Bunny Girl Senpai as an anime for Christians to watch is that we also see the brokenness that the world finds itself in, and how the world cannot really give you the same stability and peace that only Christ can provide. With Mai, we see a reliance upon self, her beauty and her career, and how she makes that her whole identity, and that comes crashing down when she stops acting. With Tomoe, it's her reliance upon her friends who aren't really friends, maybe status is a better term for it, because she places her entire self-worth on how much her friends like her, and it should feel like a good thing to be liked and to be part of the popular girls' friend group. Yet we also see how much it is a chore for Tomoe, how she has to work to be liked. It's definitely part of God's common grace that teenagers are given the ability to still be able to resolve these issues, but that lasting peace and stability can only be gotten back by coming back to Christ. We can really see how broken the world is with the third girl, Rio Futaba. Now, she is someone who's been part of the story so far, but she gets her own arc by episode 7, and her puberty syndrome is that she has two sides to herself. One that she shows at school, which is shy and reserved, and another that she shows online, which is really unrestrained. So her two selves literally split apart, and there are now two versions of Rio Futaba running around. Rio's story is one where we see the consequences of bad choices. She's an only child in a home where her parents aren't really around often, so it's no surprise that in her adolescent mind that she would seek validation and attention from strangers online who are more than willing to give it to her. How Sakuta comes into this though, I want to invoke that same imagery from the parable of the Good Samaritan, because in the same way, that man helps this random stranger by cleaning him up and paying for his stay at a local inn. Sakuta captures that same love. Sakuta goes further because this is a love for a friend, that in a time when there's two Rio Futabas running about, where one has access to her house and the other is roaming around internet cafes, Sakuta offers Rio to stay at his place. Rio now has the safety and security of shelter, and it's an amazing love for one's friends that compels someone to do that. Then for Sakuta to come in and comfort Rio in a time where she really is feeling a range of emotions. He's just being a good friend to her by listening to her story, to her fears and anxieties. Now, how does Sakuta then manage to merge the two Rios together? I won't tell you, and this is probably a good place to stop, and an opportunity for you now to actually go watch this really good anime, because this is what I see in it. Not only do we see how bad choices cause a lot of harm, and especially so during the formative years of a person's life, I think to my own high school life and how that lack of connection with God really resulted in a lot of bad things happening that I now look back on and regret. While Sakuta isn't this model guy we should be emulating. He is someone who images Christ and his love in his conduct towards all of these girls he meets in this series. And it is for those reasons why Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai is a Christian anime. If you're interested in watching another Christian anime where they literally kill demons, my video on Demon Slayer might just be for you.